Hello, everyone. Welcome to New Music Muse. This is episode 3. My guest is Comfort Club. Hello, Comfort Club. What is your real name and how did you come to Comfort Club? I think it's a really cool name.
Thank you. Yeah, my name's Colin. I decided on Comfort Club. Basically, I was thinking about myself and my music, and I was putting out music under my birth name, which is Colin Tracy, and it just didn't have like a good flow to it. It didn't feel that catchy. So I came up with Comfort Club one day, and I was like, I got to run with this because I kind of like give off those vibes, I think, of just like
For
cozy,
sure.
like I wear sweatpants and like a sweatshirt all the time. So, and my music too is like not, I don't do anything crazy. Like I'm pretty simple with my stuff. So I think it's just kind of like feel good, comfort music. And yeah, it just kind of, the name just kind of came to me one day and I ran with it. And I'm glad that I did.
That's really amazing. I think I love your name. I think it really connects to your music really well, and even like the space you're in right now, it just looks cozy. Um,
Yeah, yeah, and I'm not trying too hard. I'm just kind of being myself, and that's why I think it works. I think if
yeah.
I was trying to be something I wasn't, it probably wouldn't work as well. But it's just I've been this person my whole life, so I just kind of stepped right into it.
Yeah, I think that's a great part of like being an independent artist. You kind of get to explore, your own taste of music, putting that into your own art. You encapsulate that really well, especially in the indie world. I guess I want to talk about your music. So, what would you say is like your favorite track that you've ever recorded so far?
I'd say it's kind of a tie between. I feel like "New Ways to Miss You" is the song that sort of put me on the map, and it's sort of stylistically, I feel like all the textures and the sounds in that song, and the concept are very much me. But then I have another song called "The Internet," which I feel like is also, it's kind of like I have two different career paths that I want to go, and I think I can do both of them, which is cool because there's one side of it which is like the guitar driven, like drums behind it and all that stuff, which is kind of like the New Ways to Miss You, and the most recent one, "Okay on My Own," is very much in that group, and then "The Internet" is more of like a pop song with like trap drums on it, and like I don't know. I think I like doing both of those, so I kind of have two answers to what my favorite song is.
That's cool. I really love the internet. Like that song I think is really addictive to listen to, and I think it's super relatable because, we are living in a society where like we're so addicted to technology.
Yeah.
And I love how you said like I can't live without you, just like I can't live without the internet. Like
That wasn't even me trying to like write a millennial line. I wasn't like, oh, this one's gonna sell really well. I was just like, that's true. It was like 2 a.m. and I was on Instagram and I was like, I can't live without the internet. It's literally
mhm.
the most addicting thing. It's like infiltrated my life. And then yeah, writing a song about it was so easy because the correlation between the two is just incredible. Like it was a perfect match and an easy song to write.
Yeah, it's definitely an easy song to listen to. Where are you from? How old are you? And when did you start really start pursuing music? Like decided that it was something that you really were passionate about and you wanted to do.
Yeah. So I'm 24. I'm from Michigan originally. My birthday is July 8th. I'm a Cancer. Just throwing in some extra tidbits.
Okay, emotional. I get that.
Yeah.
I get that vibe from your music.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely make Cancer music. Um, and I started making music. So I started being inspired by music heavily when I was like 17. I saw John Mayer live and it changed my life completely. Like that was the night after I saw that show, I started playing guitar every day, and I haven't not picked up a guitar since. Like it was a life changing experience. So I played guitar kind of like through. I started my senior year of high school, played through college, just like figuring it out. And then I started taking music seriously after college, which was I graduated in 2018 from Michigan State. And that's kind of I worked like a real adult job for not even a year, and I was like, I can't do that. So I moved home, started working at Starbucks, and started making music, and then I'm here now.
That's really cool, honestly. I think the 9 to 5 thing is kind of, it's kind of lost upon our generation now, especially with COVID and like, and I think as you know, I don't know, what would you call us, Gen Z, I guess. I guess we're,
think
I
so.
feel like, yeah, I feel like we're just like more of a creative generation. Not to
Yeah.
stump on the other generation, but I think like there's so many emerging artists coming from, Gen Z, and I think entrepreneurial wise, everyone's trying to just do their own thing kind of. No one
Yeah,
really wants to
I
like
think
work
uh,
on.
I think if you sort of look at the world that we live in right now, it's so dominated by entertainment. Like, I mean, if you think of, I think of everyone I know who works a 9 to 5. On their way to work, they're listening to music. At work, they're either listening to music or on their lunch, they're watching an episode of The Office or something. And then they go home and they watch entertainment. Like, we're so thirsty for entertainment right now. And that kind of goes with social media too. But I would say more so entertainment. Like, that's what we really gravitate to. And probably most of our pull to social media is from entertainment. Like, we want to go see what our favorite musician or our favorite actor or whatever is doing, or like YouTuber or anything like that.
a
Um,
hundred
but
percent.
yeah, I think that our generation is leaning towards like we love entertainment and we love being entertained. So I think there's so much room for it. It's just like who's going to do all the stuff that no one wants to do, like all those
Yeah.
jobs that aren't in entertainment. I don't know.
Yeah. Who are some artists that you would say like inspire your music and inspire your style of music, like how you make it, what you put into it?
Yeah, I'd say I mean, John Mayer was the original like reason. It's sort of that's sort of like the undercurrent of everything I do. But I'm really inspired currently by like Alexander 23, Role Model, Omar Apollo, Dominic Fike, like those kinds of artists that I
Hmm.
feel like are really blending songwriting with production, like with really modern production.
For
And
sure.
not to like dismiss the work of other people, but I feel like a lot of pop music right now is kind of lacking in like lyrical content. But those
Okay.
artists that I mentioned, like they're basically like their songs could stand alone as like poetry. I feel like the lyrics are that good. Um, I think I'm drawn to that because that's what I want to do. Like I want to, at my core, I'm a lyricist. Like that's what I want to be known for is writing things that people can relate to or things that people would get tattooed because they think it's a cool line, like that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
I don't want to like waste any of my opportunity in songs as with like wasted lyrics or anything. I want every line to like pack a punch. And yeah, those artists I feel like do that really well.
I think, yeah, I totally agree. I think all those artists you mentioned are amazing. And I think part of being an independent artist is, writing your own songs,
Yeah,
especially, and I think they definitely incorporate the instrumentals like really well with their lyrics. And I think people undermine the importance of lyricism
yeah,
because, I mean, like with huge pop stars, there's probably like 20 songwriters on one song,
sure.
that you hear on mainstream radio. And like I don't think it holds the same depth as someone, who is actually like a poet, a lyricism that put, you know, all their blood, sweat, and tears into a song.
Yeah.
And because people really feel that raw emotion.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to like sort of shelf life for a song, if the lyrics, like pop songs are great. I love pop songs, but if the lyrics are nothing that interest me, then yeah, it's going to get one listen from me or maybe like two. But if the lyrics are something I can dive deeper and every time I listen I go, I didn't even hear that line the first time. That's so profound. Or it hits you when you're in a different mood and then you're like, wow, this lyric is really pulling at my heartstrings too. That's where I feel like lyricism is like almost the most powerful thing that I think you can do in music. And that's why I'm so drawn to it because I mean, lyrics are, yeah, they're at the core of everything I like about music. And then everything that surrounds it is just sort of second tier.
Yeah, 100%. And like I think now with the indie world, a lot of genres are being blended.
Yeah.
And I think all those artists that you mentioned really do a great job of blending those genres.
They're such feel good songs, even when they're not like feel good songs. And that's kind of what I'm going for too, is
Hmm.
like sort of writing in those major keys. and making sure the song has like a nice energy to it, even if the topic of the song isn't like a happy song, you know?
Well, yeah, I think I listened to your song. Another song that I liked by you was "I Tell My Therapist About You."
Yeah.
And I thought that was such like a catchy title. Like I had to listen to that song because I was like,
Yeah.
therapy, huh?
Yeah.
Is that
That one is the most true song that I've ever written. Like every line in that is true. And whereas, I mean, as a songwriter, there's times where you have to embellish things or, like write something that isn't 100% true or just to fit like a rhyme scheme or something. Um,
yeah.
but that song is, yeah, that one is from the heart. Everything in that song happened to me and is true. So,
And that's really cool that you can write from experiences because I think a lot of people, yeah, like you said, they have to embellish in songwriting
yeah,
because, like, well, like I didn't experience this, but maybe I will experience it, or maybe someone else has experienced it.
yeah,
So maybe this can be relatable to someone. But when you can actually like take a story that you've experienced and really put it into a song, like that's magical.
yeah. And then if it relates to other people, that's a home run, in my opinion.
What would you say is a lyric that you've written that completely, ties in with your existence and that, every time you hear it, you kind of like it kind of just makes your heart rush because you're like, wow, like this is something that I wrote, this is something that is just part of my existence.
Yeah, I think the one that came to mind, which I don't know, I can't always think of all my lyrics off the top of my head, but I have a song called Love Sounds Better When It's Spoken. And there's a line in it that says, staring at a popcorn ceiling, trying to figure out the meaning of life. And that is like the most true lyric to my existence. Like, I have, not to say that I have a lot of like existential crises, but I
I
think
can appreciate that.
yeah, I think everyone, including myself, is just has those moments where you're just like, what is happening right now? Like, why am I here? What am I doing? Like, what is the point of all of this? What, you know what I'm saying? Like, we just all kind of
100%.
go through that pretty
Yeah.
often. And I think we're all more open about it now. But I think that was like that's a lyric that every time I sing it, there's emotion coming out of me definitely because it's just true. Like I've laid on my bed so many times and stared at the ceiling and be like, what am I doing? Should I keep doing this? Should I do something else? Should I talk to that person? Should I, everything? It makes you question everything, and slowing down to just stare at the ceiling is
I think that's a super relatable and visual lyric because I can tell you right now that I've definitely done that. Like you're in a hotel or something
yeah,
like that and there's popcorn ceilings and just like looking at it and like
yeah.
having like all those thoughts like come to your mind. Have you done shows like pre-COVID and do you plan on having like tour post-COVID?
Yeah, so before COVID, I was just sort of getting Comfort Club off the ground. So I wasn't doing shows or anything. I've like in the past, I've played in like indie bands and I've done like acoustic shows and stuff. But I feel like now I've sort of figured out who I am as an artist and what I want to do. So during COVID, I did a couple. I actually did a tour on Zoom where I played like 5 different shows. I've done like a couple, played like online festivals and stuff. But yeah, I haven't played a show yet, an in-person show as Comfort Club, and I really want to because I feel like I've figured out my sound and I feel like my catalog is strong at this point and I want to meet people like that. That's part of the reason I do this is just to like make friends and like get to know people and share in music. And I feel like I'm contributing something to the music world by like making these songs and stuff. And I've always been a fan of music, but now I'm excited to get to like give that to other people.
I think your music has a draw to it for the indie world especially because it's relatable, it's raw, it's refreshing, because a lot of people are just trying so hard to put out an image that isn't really them. Crazy when these like really super independent artists
Yeah,
become like huge and they get signed to labels and it's like, you know, are they independent anymore after that? What direction does that take independent music? It's kind of
I mean,
weird.
like I'm so happy for them. Like I'm glad that they're getting this much like notoriety and stuff. But I just feel like it takes like it takes away from the music that they're making. And like
For
at the
sure.
core, I mean, like you look at Billie Eilish and Phineas, like they're making songs in their bedroom, and I think they do a good job of still doing that. From what I know, obviously I don't know them at all, but
Yeah.
I think I think they work in their bedroom still, which is really cool. And then they're putting out music that's like the biggest stuff in the world. But yeah, it's just once there's so many hands involved and so many people who have opinions on it, it yeah, it gets watered down pretty quickly from being
Yeah.
like a pure emotional endeavor.
Moving on from that, talking about the artists that influence your music, what would you say is like a dream collab, or honestly, even a realistic collab at this point?
Yeah. Honestly, someone that I can't believe I didn't even talk about yet is Charlie Berg. Like I'm a huge fan of his.
Hmm.
I used to play at the same open mic that he played at because he went to Michigan State for like a year. And then fast forward like 3 or 4 years or whatever, and I saw that he was like blowing up, and I was like, I recognize that name. He's incredible. I would love to work with him. Like he's someone that I just think is musically like a genius. I think he would be like a dream collab for me, or even just a dream like hang out and like try to write a song together. Like it wouldn't even have to
Yeah,
come out. I feel like he's
he
so
has an
talented.
amazing voice. Yeah,
Yeah, he's just like I feel like he's a once in a generation type artist, and
yeah,
just to create in the same space as him, I think would be really cool.
yeah. He has good vibes. Yeah, I could definitely see you guys doing a collab. That would be insane. Yeah, I think it. I think that music is super experimental in that way. Like with artists, you kind of think of like, so what would like this artist like? Would this artist, like my music? When you're making music, like would my favorite artist like my music? I mean, it's a super scary thing to think about because you're like, they're like the shit.
It's weird. It's that like pure acceptance thing. It's almost like I always relate it to like if the cool kid at your school like acknowledged you or something, you'd be like, "Oh my gosh, that was crazy!" Like that.
Yeah,
Those moments, and like I've had a few of those in my career so far, where like an artist I love or something was like I sent them my song and they're like, "Yo, that's cool." Or like I don't know, like an artist I love follows me or something. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, these are people that I've like looked up to for years, and they acknowledge my existence." It's just
crazy.
crazy. That pure acceptance is something that I definitely strive for.
Yeah, and I think, building a fan base is like also like a good support community, like everything everything like that, like being an artist is super helpful, and I think recognition, like it's probably the greatest feeling in the world. Can you tell me about some like times that you got recognized or had like kind of like a break and you were just like super excited
Yeah.
about it?
Yeah, so probably like the most notable one was Rit Momney, who is like he blew up like last year for Put Your Records On. Like he went huge on TikTok and like that song went crazy. So I had opened for him with a band I was playing in 2018 and was like a huge fan of his stuff. And this was literally like the day I think that I branded myself as Comfort Club. Even though I was playing in another band, we went out to dinner with like Rit Momney after the show. Um, and he like asked me about my music, and I was like, oh, like I'm just starting out. Like I have this indie pop project called Comfort Club, and I'm just like figuring it out. And then like a year and a half later, I messaged him on Instagram, and I was like, hey, I got this song. Like, would you want to work on it? And then he like hit me back, and he's like, yeah, I'll like co-produce it. So
Oh
and that
wow.
song's Tip of the Iceberg in December. And yeah, I got to work with him on it, and it was one of those things where it's like that's a guy who I've idolized for like 2 years, and I think he just makes incredible music. And then we're on Zoom working on a song. It's like
That's
you
crazy.
just
Yeah.
can't believe that these things are happening. They're so surreal.
Yeah, for sure. Um, so moving on from that point, like, do you have any like new music, that you're working on, and like, what can we
Yeah,
expect from like Comfort Club new music?
yeah. I have a few songs that I'm ready to put that are I have one song that's done that's ready to come out. I just don't have a release date for it yet. And that's another one where I got to work with an artist that I like really look up to. Um, so that one I'm excited for. Hopefully in the next couple months. And then I have another one that I produced myself that I got a friend to play on that I really look up to as well. Um, and then probably a collaboration at some point. Um, and then yeah, I'm gonna try to keep putting out singles. I think for the time being because that seems to be the route to sort of establishing yourself as an independent artist. Is I tried doing the EP thing and it didn't really work that well. So I'm gonna try just putting singles out and see if I can catch some attention. And then I don't know. The biggest goal for me is playing shows when that's a thing and touring. Like that's my biggest goal. I don't really care if I don't have the best numbers on Spotify as long as I'm getting to do those things because that's like true engagement with fans.
There's definitely a connection that you put into the world when you perform because you get to engage
Yeah.
with people and you get to share your music with people in a really intimate way that can't be really expressed through streams.
Like in the past, I was kind of worried about it because I didn't have my like I felt like I had some elements of my performances that'd be boring when I was just playing acoustic. But now that I'm playing electric and playing with like my basically playing to my songs, and there's people who actually know them now, which is cool.
Yeah, that's dope. Like knowing
Mm-hmm.
that you have like fans and that you have people that um are going to come to your performances, they're supporting you, and it's a great feeling for sure. Do you like have any plan to like be an opener, or you just are you doing like a headline tour?
No, I don't have any plan. I have no plans at all. Like I want to have
just
plans.
just playing it by
That
ear.
no one has like hit me up about opening for them. And honestly, like if it gets to a point where music, like where shows are coming back and no one is trying to like take me on the road with them, then I'll probably try to do something myself, like play some shows across the country.
I think 100% like someone will take you on tour with them.
I'm optimistic, but I'm
Yeah,
cautiously optimistic.
it I
And it
get that.
hasn't.
Like it's definitely like a hard, ground to reach.
Yeah.
Like if no one's heard any of your music before, no one's heard of you, like what is this one song that you would be like, listen to this, I'm putting you on?
Oh gosh. I think it's the internet. I really genuinely think that is like my all-encompassing song because it has the lyrics, it has a little tease of guitar in there too to kind of show that I can do that. Um, and then yeah, I think it's catchy. I don't know. I think that one would get stuck in your head,
Yeah, for
and
sure.
and I
I'm
feel like it would work with a lot of audiences. You know?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Like it's kind of like it's like a chill acoustic vibe, but it's like catchy that you can get
Yeah,
into. Like I could see like a crowd like I can't
yeah,
live without you, just like yeah,
yeah. That's what I'm excited for too. I want to see how crowds react to these songs and how I can work the crowd. You know?
Thank you everyone for listening to New Music Muse. I want to thank my guest, Comfort Club. Thank you so much for coming on the show and telling us about your music and your journey. And can't wait to hear more from you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And yeah, everyone who listened this far, thanks for listening. You can find me on Instagram at Comfort Club. Um, Twitter is Comfy Club Music, and my website is comfortclubmusic.com. So that's pretty much all you need to know, I think, at this point.